Did African leaders make a strong enough case for the African continent at the recent U.S.-Africa Leadership Summit? Here's Arise News analyst Dr. Constance Ikoko on our Newsnight program.
For some years now, there seems to be a new geopolitical rivalry for the African continent, which underscores the importance of this continent, although most times it's often shortchanged because it doesn't have absolute control of its resources and its people. So these days you have the US-Africa Summit, Turkey-Africa Summit, France-Africa Summit, Japan-Africa Summit, Russia-Africa. Everyone wants a summit with Africa.
A piece of Africa.
Yes. When will we have our own summit here on the continent, inviting other people on our own terms, on our own conditions? It's about time that the African leaders begin to chart a way forward, a strategy to take control of the continent.
All right, strong points. Ade Olufeko is the CEO of Avenue Creative Limited, joins us to discuss further. He's also the chairman of the Creative Entertainment Group at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Ade, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So what do you make of that? Should, you're involved in the LCCI, you talk a lot about the African Continental Free Trade, you want to promote this stuff. Should we be hosting Biden and, Xi Jinping and, well, not Putin, but maybe Rishi Sunak and others in here rather than African leaders keep, heading out to other countries for these summits?
That's a good question. I believe that we should have our summits here, but we just had the pandemic. There was mobility and momentum moving towards before there was a pause. So now there's been a reset. Those summits are grandfathered engagements already in the summit. I think that the geopolitical importance of West Africa and its regions are important, but we have to take it in baby steps.
Considering what you do at the Creative Group and also your position with the LCCI, what kind of deals would you want to see signed at these summits? Selfish. Go ahead. What deal do you want to see signed?
I would say having the Africas with an S, West Africa, own our intellectual property. We have the Free Trade Act agreement, but something where the music, anything that prevents capital flight. People move their funds because of the inflation, but I believe that deals that would be favorable to the creative sector, the tourism sector, and things that would attract foreign investors to the continent.
Okay, so let's get more specific. We had, before Avatar, have you seen the Avatar movie yet?
Absolutely.
You
saw not the second one, but the first one.
Okay, the first one, right? Okay, so right before it came out, we had Moses Babatokwe on the show. He's the co-founder of Film One. I asked him about why we can't have more IMAX theaters here in Lagos. Here's what he said.
There are plans for more. As you know, it's been a tricky time, quite challenging time for cinemas in this part of the world. No thanks to the pandemic and various other economic challenges. But we're delighted to say Film House Group, known as the Film House Cinemas, we've invested and ready to roll out the next set of IMAXs. We had one, if not for the pandemic and the unfortunate incidents with the NSAS demonstrations. We had the second one at Seku Mall, which we're delighted to let people know, and almost like an Arise exclusive, to say we'll be opening that very soon. The Seku Mall is actually operational now. They opened a few days ago, but the IMAX there will be opening very, very soon. So just please watch out for this place, for the space. We hope that it can also show some of the weeks coming up for Avatar 2. So yes, the second one is due to open imminently, and a few more are planned for the Nigerian and West African territory.
So Ade, specifically now for you, Chair of Entertainment at the LCCI, Richard Gelfond, I think is his name, that's the CEO of IMAX. Instead of Film House reaching into their cash reserves to want to build more theaters, and when that's like he's only talking about just two IMAXs in all of West Africa, wouldn't you want to sit down with that gentleman on the screen, Gelfond, and say, you put money down on the table in order to spread entertainment and have IMAX build it out themselves? How would you want that? How would that work out?
I believe that there are a couple economical issues that need to be addressed first. I'm sure this has been brought to the table before, but we have an issue with power. Power which supports infrastructure, and then security to put those type of IMAX theaters in certain regions that would boost commerce. So I'd like to have a conversation with him, but I'm sure his company boards of directors are looking at all the risks involved into making that happen.
Yeah.
But I would love to see lots of indigenous film directors. I mean, Nollywood is right behind Bollywood,
right,
and at some point would overtake it.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need to create opportunity and curb youth apathy.
You had a recent event at the LCCI. I think it was, you chaired a meeting between creatives and the tourism sector.
Correct.
Can you talk about the marriage between the two?
So the creative sector is vast. We all know that. When people think about the creative sector, they say art. Is it just art? But we have film, we have indigenous basket weavings and Calabar and so much in so many areas. Now tourism, I believe the creative sector is a new oil.
Yeah.
Right? And tourism is an untapped area which falls under the creative sector. I believe that we can attract foreign investment. Foreigners come to our beaches. You have other places like Kenya, Safari, South Africa's. So the MOU of some sort is aimed at boosting collaboration to help artists intertwine with the tourism sector.
Okay.
All the national heritage sites, that also falls under the creative sector, like Sumbo Zeredo, Olumo Rock, Kanji Dam, and just all over Nigeria. So there has been discussions. There is funding from the Lagos State government, but it's a little bit murky. And through the chamber, which is the oldest in West Africa for any chamber of commerce, I believe the framework and the protocols we had would push that conversation to the fore and then help youth who are interested in those things come forward and structure their businesses and initiatives.
Okay, great. Now, if I take your answer to the IMAX question, right? If for creatives to flourish,
Yes.
you need power. For
Absolutely.
tourism, we've got safety issues. So the infrastructure challenges and so on. Does that not rear its head when you're trying to get this marriage between the creative sector and the tourism sector?
It's in steps. It's in steps. I always go back to youth apathy,
right,
consistency, and several other. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but
you are. You're getting there. But so I think we're acknowledging the fact that those challenges are still there.
Oh, they're there. Power and all those things are still there. Absolutely.
Okay. As far as the African Continental Free Trade Area, Dr. Constance Ikoko on Newsnight, she brought that up. You see any potential there for tourism and for creatives?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Across borders, you have the Francophone West African countries, and you have the English-speaking West African countries. You have a lot of stunted projects that exist. Like the Badagry, the landing over there,
yeah,
all over Nigeria, and just the coast. I believe that the Free Trade Act would help people maybe from other speaking cultures,
yeah,
come here, spend their currencies here. The Free Trade Act raises the barriers to entries and lowers the barriers to exit.
Yeah.
So all those who've had deals for decades, it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
They're making the funds, but they're just boosting part of the ecosystem. As a technologist and a creative and an ecosystem architect, I believe the Free Trade Act it took a while for Nigeria to sign on, but when they signed on, we have the biggest population. I believe lowering the barriers to entry, all these mobile payments that convert currencies where you can spend, it helps export, and it helps us look attractive.
Yeah, yeah.
And all these summits that you mentioned, people look at the continent and say, you know what? They have their act together. We need to go and spend money over there.
What about the whole, you know what it's like to try and travel within Africa. Sometimes you might have to go out into Europe and then come back. What about all those logistic headaches? Can we smooth them over in order to get this trade area agreement to work as it should?
Well, you have Africa. Africa is large.
Right.
I think the common misconception or the mistake people make is that Africa is all the same.
Right.
We are all the same, but if you go to North Africa, you realize that, wow, they kind of don't see Sub-Sahara like they do. And you have East Africa. But I believe the AU, they've put in place, strategies to help the passports where you can go without needing visas. And I think internationally as well, Nigeria, they just signed a bill or some agreement where people from the diaspora who want to come home can come with expired visas, passports. So there are aids being put in place. It's just the issues are so many, we can't see the positives, but there are lots of positives. And I believe the free trade agreement, the AU, and the African Leadership Institute, and many incubators are really moving to make that happen.
Great stuff. LCCI Entertainment, you guys have any plans for the festive season? Any?
Just to engage the ecosystem. You have lots of festivals that are there. There's lots of money happening. I mean, you look at Eco Atlantic, look at Landmark. There are a lot of people from the diaspora coming spending money. But what we realize is that, is there a continuation? Is there any structures? So we're trying to create visibility with our name, go to the fashion shows, go to some of the festivals, and tell people and creators, look, you have something good here. Is it part of would the WTO see it? Is there consistency? Is your business tied to the Bank of Industry? How are you getting funding? Are you in alignment for the next festivals for next year? Is there going to be consistency? And just let them know that the soft landing that wasn't there, we have it at the chamber. So my goals, and as the chairman of my group, while my tenures exist, is to really let the youth, curb youth apathy, and let them come in, and let the celebrities come in as well and help the new oil move Nigeria forward.
A lot of the tech guys say tech is the new oil. Ade Olufeko, CEO of the Avenue Creative Limited, and also chairman of the entertainment group at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Appreciate having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.